myself very.
Yo, what's good? What's good? We bringing it back to boxing real quick. I'm watching my boy Boxing Ego. You know, he's one of the top boxing channels out there who I follow. I got nothing against this guy or anything that he's saying, but in this one video right here, I definitely cannot agree with what he's saying. And I don't know if this video is gonna reach you, Boxing Ego, or whatever. Once again, you my boy. I follow you, subscribe, give you a shout out, but I can't agree with you when it comes to this whole Canelo business and Crawford. And you know, I don't really want to. Let me just go back to, you know, to where you started talking about that, so you guys could just see.
Demetrius Boo Boo Andre.
I might forward a little bit because, you know, Boxing Ego, he kind of tends to like brag, best in the business and all that other stuff, but I just wanted to get to the talking points real quick, so I might speed it up or whatever. You know, we'll see. Let's go.
So that conversation makes sense.
And I'm Ubering, by the way, doing a little side hustle gig, so, you know, it might be a little noisy in the background. Forgive me. We try rolling the windows up, turn this AC on, because we are on the road.
To say Canelo, there's an avoidance to fight David Benavidez. He's a super middleweight. Now, because Canelo won't fight him, he's a light heavyweight, most likely, right? So that makes sense. But to say he's ducking a guy that has no business at 60, has completed not near one fight at 68, is just stupid. And it furthers the point. In case you missed that video, I'll repeat it. This is almost what I refer to as advanced cherry picking, right? And I'm not saying it's a cherry pick, meaning it'd be an easy fight, because I probably would favor Canelo because of the size variance, right? So I'm not saying it's a cherry pick. When people hear cherry pick, they immediately think you're picking a snowflake, a cupcake, an easy fight. But the way I'm framing it, and when I'm saying it's an advanced cherry pick, I'm not saying it would be an easy fight for Crawford, but I'm saying out of all the super middleweights, you want to leave everybody else alone except for the cash cow. That's why I say advanced cherry pick, because you're not calling for a fight with Demetrius Andre. You're not calling for a fight with David Benavidez, even when he was in the division. You're not calling for David Morrell. You want a Willy Wonka golden ticket to the chocolate factory, and you just want the Canelo sweepstakes as is.
See?
And there's a lot of inferior boxing
this is an advanced cherry pick. Just look at.
Telling you what it is.
Put you on hold real quick.
You're not gonna outsmart
me, my bro.
I already know.
Now, just off of what he's saying right now, this is an advanced cherry pick. I don't see it that way. Again, that's his personal opinion, how he feel about it. But when you actually look at the bigger picture here, and we're talking about cherry picking here, and Canelo is playing this runaround game because we know he's ducking Benavidez, and obviously, you know, I'm not even going to talk about the pound for pound list because that's just a whole nother story. I'm going to try to keep it on topic here. And when you look at Canelo and the cherry picking that he's doing and what he's complaining about, or, you know, speaking to others about, and what others are repeating and saying that, oh, there's no point in fighting Crawford because he has nothing to gain from fighting him, this, that, and the third, blah, blah, blah. It's a lose-lose situation. And again, for a person who is saying it's a lose-lose situation, is a person who actually fears that they have something to lose. Because now, when you sit here, if Canelo was to be honest with Canelo in the world, when you look at Crawford, what would you consider Crawford? An S-level fighter? An A+ fighter? We can't say B and C because we know that's not true. We can't hold against Crawford his resume because look at who his promoter was back in the day. And not only that, look at how negotiations went with PBC, and you even hear different, you know, promoters and just people speaking on PBC and how they only want to work with their in-house guys and keep the money and the belts and all that stuff in their circle. You know what I'm saying? Because they want most of the share. They don't want to have to split it down the middle and all this crazy stuff. This is why you have, you know, this guy joining. This is why you have these guys that's just joining these promoters and then they're leaving in the next minute because of, you know, the deals that's being worked out, what they don't like. There's multiple reasons. We're not going to get too much into that neither. But the whole thing is, it's like, look at Crawford again and look at what the opponents that he is choosing to fight. And then now ask yourself, Canelo. I mean, did I say Crawford? I meant look at the opponents that Canelo's fighting. If I did say Canelo, I meant to say Canelo, not Crawford. Look at the opponents that Canelo's fighting. And let Canelo ask himself, and everybody asks Canelo, what are you gaining by picking these B+ and A level fighters? Because that's what you're fighting. I don't even want to really say A level fighters. I'll probably say that McGee dude, that last dude that he fought, is probably like an A level fighter or whatever, A+ fighter. I'll probably say A level, but I won't say A+ because I don't think he's an A+ fighter. But look at those opponents that he fought. Most of the guys that he's cherry picking, these guys are B+ and some A-level fighters. Some. Again, that last dude he fought is an A-level fighter. This dude that he's fighting right here, he's not an A-level fighter. That I forgot his name or whatever. But the guy that he's about to fight, and the one that he chose to fight, and he's about to have this fight with as we speak right now. That dude is not an A-level fighter. Come on. So what do you have to gain by fighting this guy right here? Why isn't it a lose-lose situation? Because you're talking about, yeah, what's his name came to survive. He didn't come to fight, this, that, and the third. So it's like, okay, you're complaining about guys because they're not coming to fight and they're coming to survive. So obviously you want a boxing match. You wasn't thinking about that when you wanted to fight Floyd Mayweather, because if you look at Mayweather style, he's not a brawler. And at least, I mean, maybe back then Pretty Boy Floyd was, but now Pretty Boy, he's not a fighter. He could walk you down. He could stay in the pocket with you in exchange, dodge your hits. You know, his game is up there. You know, he backs up, counter you. Crawford is the same exact way. But the only thing is he's a switcher. He switches, you know, southpaw, orthodox. He does it all. He figures you out in the later rounds, then he starts to walk you down, or he stays in that pocket with you. Canelo knows what he's going to have to deal with. And Canelo doesn't want another L under his belt. Because you had one with Bivol, you had one with Mayweather, you had one with, you're going to have one with Crawford, because more than likely you're not going to beat Crawford. And let's not just talk about the size and all this other shit, because, come on. If we really wanted to speak about, you know, these boxing matches and these fighters fighting in weight classes again, that whole thing that happened with Jamel, whatever, when he fought Canelo, for one, he should have gave himself more time. He should have took a couple of fights, or at least one fight before he fought Canelo, just to get used to the weight or whatever. Again, that was a payday for him. Everybody, Canelo knew he was going to beat him. You know what I'm saying? Especially, you know, with him being in a higher weight class, you're already acclimated to the weight. You know what I'm saying? More than likely, fight night come, you're going to gain that 15 pounds, 20 pounds, and you're going to have a weight advantage over him. The fight would have been way more interesting if the fight was in the middle. Let's just say like 160, or let's just say if Canelo had came down to 154. We know he's not doing that because he's, yeah, I can't make that. That's his excuse and all that. Cool, you can't make that. But don't look at it as in like, oh yeah, why does Canelo have to fight him? Crawford's resume, this, that, and the third. Like I said before, if I didn't finish what I was saying, it's not Crawford's fault that his promoter, you know, he's been told like, hey, leave these guys, blah, blah, blah. They're not going to promote you, blah, 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 etc. That was his choice that he made, and this is what he has to live with. And right now, Crawford has to do what Crawford have to do to make the most out of what Crawford could get, you know, before he retires. And there's no reason why, or there should be no reason why anybody's even hating because he's pursuing a Canelo fight. Again, you have a lot of people out there who don't like Crawford and who don't want to see Canelo lose. It doesn't matter if what I'm gonna get for fighting this person and all this other stuff. By Canelo taking that challenge, that's gonna do a lot more for his career than what anybody could offer him right now, other than David Benavidez. There's nobody in the 168 division that can offer Canelo the type of recognition or help his resume a lot more than what it's doing right now and the people that he's picking right now to fight. I'm sorry, I can't agree with that. And when you look at the people that Canelo fought, and we're talking about resumes here, we're not talking about resumes because this person wasn't promoted correctly and he was held back in boxing, because you had Bob that didn't want to give him the Pacquiao fight, this, that, and the third. Because think about it, what if he did get the Pacquiao fight when Pacquiao was still boxing? Pacquiao lost because he wasn't the same, this, that, and the third, and all this. But then yet you have guys talking about Pacquiao is still Pacquiao because he beat Keith Thurman, so he still got it, blah blah blah. Kind of like the whole Lomachenko bullshit. When he decides to fight Gervonta and then end up losing, then they're gonna say Lomo's not the same Lomo, he's old. It's gonna run. That story probably more than likely would have had happened, or this is what the fans would have been saying, the critics and all that. But again, when you look at people on Canelo's resume, who on Canelo's resume can actually beat Crawford? Let's leave Floyd out of there. We're gonna take Floyd off Canelo's resume. Who are we gonna go with? Like just think about it. Cotto's not beating no Crawford. Who else you gonna go with? Danny Jacobs is not beating Crawford. Triple G is not beating Crawford. Like who else are we really gonna go with here? How many people that is on Canelo's resume that you think could beat Crawford? And again, I'm an Errol Spence fan. I even thought Errol Spence was gonna beat Crawford. I'm not even gonna lie about that. And even when I seen Errol walking down and all that, and he was looking high in the face or something was wrong with him, but looking off, the simple, just keeping it 100, Errol's not the same. Ever since that car accident, well, sometimes I think Errol got a plate in his back or some shit by the way he moves and all that, and walk and bend down, and in his workout videos and all that. I think he's damaged. He's just not mobile. He's just not the same Errol he was when he fought Kell Brook and all those other guys. He's different now. And this is not me making excuses. I'm just keeping it 100. But just going off of everybody saying that, how can he want a Canelo fight and he didn't even fight nobody at 168? I could agree with that. And to me, I feel what Crawford is doing by, if he decides to become undisputed in 154 or whatever, and then he wants to go to 160 and then 168, or have a fight in 160, grab another belt before 168, and then fight somebody in 168 before he fights Canelo, I think he should do that. If anything, I think he should fight at least 2 people in 168 just to get comfortable with that weight, instead of just going into 160, instead of going to 168 straight to fight Canelo. But we can't sit here and talk about it doesn't make sense for him, why he keep asking for the Canelo fight when Canelo's talking about he doesn't want to fight him and he has nothing to gain. I'm sorry, that shit is a cop-out. He just don't want to fight Crawford, not because of it's a waste of time, it's a lose-lose situation. The people that you're fighting and you're cherry picking right now, and you're fighting at 168, is a waste of time. Nobody wants to see you fight this guy, so why are you fighting him? You're talking about if the money's right and all of this other crazy shit, oh yeah, then I'll fight him, this, that, and the third. And it's and if it's an easy fight for you and you're not going to get no recognition for fighting him, cool. You shouldn't be asking for the amount of money that you're getting paid for fighting this guy right here. You should be asking for that same amount of money. Why? Because you're looking at Crawford as a dude who is coming up from 2 weight classes, because he was at 147, he's fighting at 154. So good. We got 160, 168. He's coming up from 147 to 168. He's already at 154, so I'm not even going to count 147 no more, because he's having a fight at 158. He's coming up from 154. He's coming up from that weight class to challenge Canelo. why are you looking at it as in, what do I have to gain from that fight? I have to say it again because I can't stress it enough. Why are you saying that when the guys that you're fighting right now, Crawford could beat right now? That dude that Canelo's fighting right now, I guarantee you Crawford could beat him. So how are you saying that? What do you have to gain? You're not going to get no recognition. You're not getting no type of recognition, no props or anything for that matter for choosing the guys that you're choosing to fight in your weight class right now. They are not known names. These are nobody. When you look at boxing, what is everybody in boxing are chasing? Let's just leave the whole payday thing out. For you to for a boxer to get recognition in the boxing world, you have to challenge other people who have the name to show, like, listen, I'm that man, not this dude right here. I'm that guy y'all should be looking at. Y'all should be paying attention to me because I could beat this dude right here. You have a lot of boxers that say that, and you have a lot of boxers out there that's cloud chasing and all that don't really want to fight. And again, if Crawford is an easy fight, you shouldn't be asking for more money than the fight that you're fighting with, the fight that you're about to have with this guy that you're currently fighting right now. So let's just say if you're getting 50, 30, let's just say you're getting 30 million or whatever guarantee, or 25 million, 20 million guarantee for fighting this dude, you shouldn't want more money for fighting Crawford than the guys that you fighting. Because again, Crawford's technically, he's a lesser of a challenge, or he's a less of a threat than that guy in 168 that you're fighting right now. So if the business is right, once again, cool. Yo, you want me to fight this guy real quick? All right, I want this much, blah, blah, blah. Case closed. You shouldn't be trying to ask for more than what you're getting paid in 168 for these bozo cherry-picking dudes that you're fighting right now. Like, am I making sense, or am I confusing y'all? Like, let me know in the comments or whatever. Like, I'm not trying to, like, you know, come at boxing ego. This is just me, my personal opinion, how I feel, how I look at the picture here. I feel like Crawford is a worthy opponent. He should be, if not number one, the pound for pound, he should be number two. Canelo should not be on that pound for pound list because he already have 2 losses. I don't understand how they have these guys that's on the pound for pound list with losses and all that. It doesn't matter if they took a loss 7 years ago and then now they've been winning consecutively, and like, nah. You take a loss, you should not be on that pound for pound list. You're automatically disqualified just based off of your loss. This is how I feel. You're not the greatest in the world because you lost to someone that was better than you. And then again, we all know, and this is what people fail to realize or don't want to look at the bigger picture here. Like, you know what I'm saying? When the truth is in your face, people want to play blind eye. We all know it's about a business here. We all know it's about a business. Canelo's the cash cow. He got a big fan base. He's been promoted. You know, he's basically, you know, after Floyd Mayweather, you know, encounter whatever, Canelo, I would say he did get better or whatever. He improved a lot, and he's a force to be reckoned with. But, you know, coming to Crawford and all that, I feel like Canelo can't touch him. You know what I'm saying? I feel like he's going to run into what he ran into with Floyd Mayweather, and probably worse. And again, everybody sit here talk about, oh, yeah, the weight and this, that, and the third and all this other stuff and blah, blah, blah. Again, like, this is one of the major problems that people, like, I don't even want to even get into that whole weight issue and the boxing and all that other stuff, because people cry about they can't make this weight and this, that, and the third. Well, then guess what? Don't fight in that division. If you can't make 147, 154, 168, 160, don't fight in these divisions. Those are not your weight classes. If you're complaining about going down in a weight class, you shouldn't be fighting there. Because if you have to come in rehydrated and all this other stuff, 20 pounds and all this other shit coming forward, and it's like, I could even get into the whole Devin and Ryan situation and all that, when he got devastated and all that, and everybody, oh, because he's on steroids and he's using, you know, no, come on, let's stop it. It's just like Javante said, you didn't respect him, and this is why you lost, because you thought you was gonna go in there and you was gonna walk over him, and it turned out to be the other way. But just keep it on this whole Canelo and Crawford topic. Crawford accomplished a lot in his career. He had a shitty promoter. That's something that he have to live with. He should have never went with Bob Arum, or he should have left Bob Arum as soon as he had the chance. And you should have went with the PBC, or you should have just went with, Eddie Hearn and them, or whatever. That's something Crawford have to live with. But other than that, if Crawford is wanting to pursue a Canelo fight, there should be nobody out there saying that he doesn't deserve that fight. He shouldn't be trying to chase Canelo and this, that, and the third because Canelo doesn't want to fight him. It doesn't matter. If that guy wants to choose to fight Canelo or any other person, or he wants a payday, because it doesn't, like, even if he wants a payday, regardless of how you look at it, Canelo's the top 168er right now. You can say, yeah, why he's not asking to fight Benavidez, why he's not asking to fight Boo Boo or whatever the case is. And I'm not talking about Boots, I'm talking about Andre Boo Boo. Why he's not asking to fight them? Because, again, for some reason, everybody wants to, even the boxing community too, they're so eager to put blacks against each other because they don't want to see them rise. They're always hoping for the downfall because, again, when you look at boxing, who is always the top dominant race in boxing? Basketball and just most sports overall. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying, I don't want to say most, but just, more than some. Who are it's black people. Basketball, we got basketball on lock, we got football, we got boxing. Majority of the sports are all ran. They already know that, these black guys, they're coming, they're the problem. You know what I'm saying? These guys are athletes. They're on the top of their game. They're not playing, and you know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to downplay any other, Spanish or, any other race for that matter, but again, when you look at the boxing business and how they let Canelo get away with, dodging his mandatory for years, y'all coming up with these franchises belts so he doesn't have to fight his mandatories and all this other stuff. And it's like, come on, like, what are we doing here? And this is one of the reasons why people are not paying for these boxing matches. I'm not paying for boxing matches if I have to watch Canelo cherry pick these bozos who are B-level fighters. B-level fighters. I'm not paying for shit like that. I'm gonna watch that shit for free. I'm gonna wait till it comes on TV. Until these promoters and these boxers start to understand, like, if you want to sit here and you want to run around and not give the people who are paying for these fights the fights that they want to see, the customer, the audience, you don't deserve my money. I'm gonna watch your boxing match, but I'm not gonna put my money into your boxing match. I'm gonna watch your boxing match for free. You may not care because you have other supporters, you have people. That's fine. But for me personally, how I feel, I'm not paying for your boxing match. I'm watching your shit for free. Once again, it's not fair to the people that come out and have to spend these $80, $69.99, $59 to watch these bullshit fights that these boxers are cherry picking and who they're fighting. Like, nah, it doesn't make sense. I'm sorry. And the whole thing with that whole PBC situation and all that, people have to really figure that shit out. Because it's like, if you guys is really not trying to do deals because y'all don't want to lose these belts and y'all want to keep all the in-house fighters fighting the in-house fighters, nobody wants to see that. That's just like when we had that last fight with Shakur Stevenson, and it's like, you have these guys that's just always bringing up these other boxers and talk about stop ducking me, this, that, and the third. And then when the fight time come, these guys talking about they want 30 million. I want 20 million to fight this person. That whole shit with Shakur and Javante. Shakur's a bozo. I'm not saying he's a bullshit fighter or anything like that, but you're a bozo. Like, you cry about, like, I can't understand how these boxers talk about how they're the greatest and shit. And when the fight comes around and you have the opportunity to prove yourself, just like Floyd, you can't sit here and argue about how great you are, you're the A side, all of this other shit, where when you haven't put that work in to prove yourself. Again, look at Shakur and what he's talking about, how much he won for fighting Javante. And again, I don't know if he's listening to Crawford or whatever the case is. If he is, I pray to God that he stopped listening to him, because it's not going to end good for him. It's not going to end good for his career. And this is not to knock Crawford or anything like that, but you can't be telling these guys, you know, what they think you're worth and all this other stuff and all that. Again, when you in that boxing game, I'm not a boxer myself, and I ain't trying to speak like I know, but obviously you have to take a loss like Floyd did when he fought De La Hoya. He was the B side. He took a less payday. You can't go in there trying to negotiate and talk about, I want this and this because I'm this type of level fighter and all this, and this is what I deserve. You missed your whole opportunity when Shakur missed his whole opportunity when he turned down that fight with Devin Haney, when Devin Haney was offering him 25. You could have went in there and you could have won that fight any type of way. We already know that you're not going to stay in that pocket. You're going to fight like that. You're going to be on the back foot and all this other stuff. We already know that you're a point type of fighter. You could have went in there. You could have took that limelight away from Devin Haney and took that lesser payday, and then would have been able to negotiate a better price coming to fight Gervonta now. Because then now you could have possibly fought Ryan Garcia after that. That fight would have never manifested with Ryan Garcia and Devin Haney if you had took that deal. You could have probably knocked him off and then fought Ryan, possibly beat Ryan, and then you would have had a real negotiation now, because now you would have beat Devin. Gervonta never beat Devin. He fought Ryan. You beat Ryan. So that's like, all right, I fought the guys you fought, plus I beat the guy that you didn't beat, or people assume that you were scared to fight. Right? This is how you want to come up and negotiate your worth in boxing and all that. And you know how much you feel you should get paid for this match and all this other shit. Even if you feel like you're still coming in on the B side or whatever the case is. If a person is selling more tickets than you and he's the biggest star, you're the B side, period. Can you try to negotiate and all this other stuff? Yeah, you can. But you can't sit here and ask for no 30 million when you didn't really fight nobody like that. And everybody you fought Gervonta more than likely would have knocked out. And the thing is, I feel like Shakur, he should have rematched that dude, Edwin, whatever his name is, Santo, whatever his name is. You should have rematched that dude, because if you was on the back foot running in the ring when you was fighting that dude, what are you gonna do when you fight Gervonta? But I'm gonna leave it on that note right there, because I don't want to get too much into that, because this video right here was about boxing ego and Crawford and Canelo, and everybody's mad at Crawford because he's pursuing Canelo, because he is technically at the age of, you know, about to retire and all that. And if he's going to be in the boxing world or whatever for however many more years, why not chase big paydays? If anybody else was in his shoes, they would do the exact same thing with his talent. So why are y'all hating on him for doing it? Why are y'all not realizing and looking at Crawford and the resume that Canelo have and the people that Canelo fought, that Crawford is better than these people? Why we talking about resumes, but we're not talking about accomplishments though? A lot of those people that Canelo fought didn't accomplish what Crawford accomplished. So when you want, again, we're not going to keep talking about the weight differences and all this other stuff and blah, 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 and all this other shit. Because if Canelo was so worried about lose-lose situation, again, everybody, that's going to be, I don't even want to mention that whole weight shit with that shit that Devin said, because that's going to open up a whole nother story. I'm trying to keep it on topic here. And, you know, again, these boxers who are the A-level fighters, I mean, not the A, who is the A side, I should say, and who's going to have the advantage in the fight or whatever, they're not going to sit here and try to, you know, oh yeah, let me try to give this guy an even playing field and all this. Nobody's going to do that, because they're not going to want to lose. Because Canelo knows if he fights Crawford or he fights David Benavidez and he loses, for one, that's going to be a third loss under your belt. You're not going to get the same payday no more. You're not going to be on the pound for pound list. I mean, you still might have those assholes and those racist people, you know what I'm saying, and whoever's getting paid under the table that might consider him and put him on the pound for pound list still and all this other stuff. Just like Devin Haney, he took the loss, but I guess they removed it because he cheated, blah, blah, blah. Y'all know the story. But they still put him back on the pound for pound list when he shouldn't be on there. And I think that's on the Ring magazine or whatever. But again, you cannot look at Crawford and say he doesn't deserve a Canelo fight when everybody on Canelo's resume, in my opinion, can't beat Crawford. Not only that, Crawford accomplished more than those guys did by becoming undisputed in 135, 40, and at 147. Or was it 140 and 147? 2 times or 3 times, whatever. I could be wrong or whatever. I'm not 100%. Or I'm not a boxing guru, but I do look at boxing a little bit and I follow it. Again, Crawford has every right to pursue Canelo in that fight because of his resume and his accomplishments. He had a poor promoter. He wasn't promoted in the way he should. You know, he had things taken away from him. Those are also choices that he decided to make. And again, he has to live with it. This is just me closing out the video. And if you guys have any comments, anybody want to respond, yo, like if you like what I did here, share it out with your friends. We can finish this topic down in the comment section. I'm open to, you know, debating, rebuttaling, anything that or anybody that has a different perspective or whatever. That's cool. You know what I'm saying? Again, what I'm saying is how I feel. That's my personal opinion and how I look at it. And I feel as if Crawford has every right and he deserves that spot with Canelo, even more than what he gave Jamal Charlo. And the thing is, he was even trying to fight the other brother on top of that. And you have nothing to gain from fighting that other guy who is a drug addict and going through mental issues or whatever his situation is. Jamal, or I always get confused with the twins or whatever, but you was about to fight that guy next, his brother next. So what do you have to gain from fighting? Like, you know what I'm saying? These are all easy fights that you're taking right now, and you're talking about what do you have to gain in all this, and this is a lose-lose situation. It's a lose-lose situation for you fighting these guys because these guys have nothing to offer your career. But then again, on the other hand, when you actually really look at it, it's not a lose-lose situation because you know these guys are not in top condition. These guys are going through issues, as in, again, look at the person he's trying to fight. He's trying to fight the other twin where he was on a layoff for like 2-3 years, and he's drugs, drinking, going through, again, mental issues and all that. Not in the right space. His last boxing performance wasn't impressive. You know what I'm saying? It's like you're fighting these guys that you know you can beat. And that, to me, is a real cherry advanced picking right there. But that's all I have, guys. Y'all can follow up on the rest of the video. I'll let this play out a little bit so y'all can hear what basically what I'm, you know, disagreeing with Boxing Ego. Again, shout out to Boxing Ego. I watch his streams and videos all the time. I just stopped the video and I played it again. But yeah, that's all I got. I'll let y'all listen to the rest of this video, and y'all could decide for yourselves.
Points that people make before they even make them. They're gonna be like, "Oh, why is Canelo fighting Berlanga?" Listen, I'm not really keen on the Berlanga fight either, because again, Canelo's avoiding David Benavidez, and me being a fair critic and giving my criticism when it needs to be given, and when it's applicable. I told you, I'm not really, you know, the Canelo Berlanga fight. I wouldn't have picked it. That's not what I wanted to see from Canelo. However, one thing we're not going to do is you can't take away that Benavidez is in the division You know, he couldn't get the fight. And Berlanga's also in the division, and he did get the fight. Same thing with Munguia. So whether you like the Munguia and Berlanga picks from Canelo or not, they were rated guys with some level of a profile that actually competed and had prior fights at super middleweight 168. So even those, they all make more sense. I think Terence Crawford is a great fighter. I think he's a sharpshooter, very agile, makes good adjustments, things like that. He has the warrior spirit, mean spirit. But I also feel he's arrogant and stubborn, and I feel he's arrogant. He thinks, oh, I've done this and 2X undisputed. I got 2 SPs, like stuff that people don't really care about. For real. He feels like, oh, I'm gonna get the fight with Canelo based on that. You think Canelo Alvarez cares about your 2 SPs? I highly doubt that. Again, Canelo, he's made more money than you. He already has Hall of Famers. He's already making crazy money to fight Charlo, Berlangas and Munguias and Yildirim's, whoever else. He's getting mega millions to fight, right? And again, there's some fault there because a lot of these aren't fights that I would have requested. And I criticized. But again, I just feel like what would Canelo even want? Because if he's already see, this is the other thing that's getting real weird with this whole Crawford. He already gave Crawford an answer. Why are we?
And you see, I said what I had to say, but right there, this is the shit that people be doing right there. This is like when you look at Crawford's accomplishments, right? And everything that he did, why y'all want him to fight Boots? Oh, him and Boots would be a good fight, blah, 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 this, that, and the third. Why y'all want him to fight Boots? Boots is now starting to come up and all that. He haven't really accomplished anything. He just got a belt or whatever because what's his name dropped the belt. So why should he fight him? Because if you look at everything that Crawford did, you can say the same thing that you just said about Canelo to Crawford. And obviously, the only difference is Canelo's at a point where he made millions and millions of dollars by cherry picking and fighting bozos for half of his career because everybody wasn't an A-level fighter that he fought. And if you look at some of the guys that he fought already, they already had losses under their belt. These are not guys that was like 0 and this and that. Nah, these wasn't those type of opponents that he was fighting. So again, everything that was just said about Canelo, you could say the same thing about Crawford, and the only differences between them is that Canelo's making millions off of, for one, he's getting what he's getting is because of Floyd. If he never had that fight with Floyd Mayweather, Canelo would never be in that position. So he needs to pay homage, and everybody needs to recognize, hey, Canelo's there because of Floyd Mayweather got him there, and with that fight that they had. Crawford didn't have the best promotion. He didn't get the fights that he was looking for, or he wasn't put out there or whatever in order for him to show his skills and talents and display to the world like, yo, I'm the face of boxing and all that stuff or whatever. And the only thing Crawford is lacking is the payday side of things, as in he can't just be like, yo, I want X amount of dollars for fighting this person right here. I mean, he can to a certain degree, but he can't get the payday that Canelo's getting, you know what I'm saying, with his talent, because nobody's gonna recognize him as him being that type of dude, or that top boxer. Even though he is that top boxer right now, nobody's gonna recognize him as a boxer of Canelo's caliber. Like, yeah, Canelo's a this, that, and the third. And the sad thing about it is that he has a couple of fights less. What is it, like 20 fights or whatever, something fights. I think Canelo had like 60 or whatever it was, some shit that he got or whatever, with 2 losses under his belt. And Crawford, look at their knockout ratio. Their knockout ratio is damn near the same. They knocked out about the same amount of opponents. The only thing is, what's his name has more fights and all that under his belt than Crawford do. And those fights that he have under his belt are all bozo fights from like way earlier and all that. Everybody that he fought earlier, Crawford would have destroyed. So again, these are things that people have to look at and take into consideration where, you know, people's talking about what does he have to gain and all this other stuff. And the thing is like, he's saying that because he's risking himself. He's not putting himself in danger or anything like that. He knows he's at risk of taking another L when it comes to Crawford versus him fighting and getting paid an easy check and having an easy day and knocking somebody out probably in less than 30 minutes or whatever by the 4th round or 3rd round or whatever by these B-level fighters that he's taking. But I'm gonna leave it on that note, and we're gonna let this video play out a little bit more, and then I'm gonna end it.
Even still talking about
like
Terence Crawford, he's been calling out Canelo. Canelo already said, I don't want to fight this guy. Like he's literally in studio on a Spanish station, and he's like, why should I fight Crawford? No, the challenge makes no sense. You won't give me credit for him anyway. So Canelo's already stated he's not interested in the fight, which is what Eddie Hearn's saying. And Eddie Hearn has worked with Canelo, and he says that they have a good relationship, and they're kind of working together with PBC for this Berlanga fight because Berlanga's with Eddie Hearn's stable, right? So if anybody would know, it's probably Eddie Hearn. You know, it sounds like he has a quality.
And I guarantee you, if Crawford was signed with Eddie Hearn, guess what? If he was one of Eddie's fighters who had a long contract with him, guess what? I guarantee you he will not be saying the same thing.
Relationship with Canelo, and he's telling you the bad news. And some people just don't want to accept it. Crawford doesn't want to accept it. He keeps calling the man out. Turkey is saying, "Oh, we're going to offer Canelo money." I mean, maybe they can get it done. Money definitely talks. But for me,
once I hear Canelo asking for 100 million and up to fight Crawford, we already know he knows it's a dangerous fight and he's at risk of losing it. And again, this is why when you look at boxers and they come up with these excuses of what not wanting to fight this person and that person because of they're not a challenge and it doesn't make sense, those are all excuses and cop-outs. Because again, if you're fighting normal opponents in your weight class who are B-level fighters and you're worrying about somebody who's coming up from 2 weight classes to fight you and you're talking about it's not a challenge, you shouldn't be looking for a payday. I said this earlier before and I'm saying it again. You should not be looking for a crazy payday to fight somebody who you consider is not a challenge or it doesn't make sense. That should be an easy fight for you. You should be looking for the same amount of money as you're getting paid fighting these B-level fighters. I can't stress it enough.
I've expressed myself very decidedly and eloquently. It just doesn't make sense as a fight for me. I am not motivated. Outside of the fact that it's 2 known names, and people will try to hype that up. There's other better fights and other fights that are more reasonable. And the thing that's weird about, you know, Turkey Al-Sheikh and Riyadh season pushing Crawford on Canelo is clearly Turkey is backing Terence Crawford. He said that pretty much in so many words, like, oh, Crawford, he doesn't get the respect he deserves, blah, blah, blah.
Welcome to Westbury Alfa Romeo, a proud member of.
Alright, I'm gonna leave that video right there. If y'all want to watch the rest, shout out to Boxing Ego. Go to his channel. You can catch the full video there. Again, I said my piece and how I felt, and you know, again, everybody may feel differently about the fight with Canelo and all that. You could be a fan of Canelo, you could not want to see Canelo lose, and again, people could call it a fantasy fight or whatever it is that you want to call it. But when you look at that 168 division, who in that 168 division are you like? Who in there is actually really touching Crawford? Like who got skills like Crawford in 168? Because if there's somebody in that division, I'm pretty sure Canelo would have fought them and destroyed them by now already, right? you would think he would have fought them in a straight by now, right? And we're not talking about David Benavidez. We not counting him. We taking him out of that whole equation there, because we know he's ducking him too. He's talking about he won 150 million or 200 million or something like that to fight David Benavidez. Like, I don't know. Like, I just feel like he's trying to get a payday, like Pac and Floyd Mayweather when they had their fight. Like, I feel like he's trying to chase, or he's trying to accomplish a bigger payday than what Floyd did by dodging David Benavidez and not fighting him. So the fight could build up and everybody could want to see it, and then, you know, I will fight him if y'all give me 200, this, that, and the third. Why are you asking for so much money? You talk about these guys as horrible fighter and they're garbage and this, that, and the third, and blah, blah, blah. Why are you not trying to fight these guys? Everybody that Canelo's picking to fight right now, David Benavidez could more than likely probably beat them. I still want to see David Benavidez and that Magia dude that he just fought. I want to see those guys fight to see how David Benavidez fares against Canelo. You know, I got them as, I got 50-50 fight. That's how I have it between David Benavidez and Canelo. 50-50. I think David Benavidez will beat Magia. But back to the whole Crawford thing, I said what I said. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace out.